Hello Pisces, and welcome to your in-depth monthly horoscope for July 2023. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will explore much more deeply all the ins and outs, particularly relevant to your sign. And obviously, when we think of your sign, we must think of your rulers. Jupiter forges an amazing link to the Sun at the start of the month, but also Neptune, your co-regent, links to the Sun really beautifully in week 3. However, Saturn, now in your sign since March the 7th, does go into quite a fierce standoff with Mars also in week 3. So lots to share with you. If you are a returning visitor, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new here, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you'd like to get your free written daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, please see the link beneath this video. I've been writing these for 28 years and it would be great if you'd like to receive yours too. If you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast, what you can do by grappling with more serious astrology is provide so much knowledge and understanding of life's patterns that can guide you in your future moves. If you give me 3 pieces of your personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can produce for you your life roadmap report. This will give you intimate understandings of the opportunities you have, but also some of the more challenging patterns that may have repeated themselves. And so a better knowledge of these can help to guide you forwards more successfully. And in my 30% off package, you can also get your 12-month personal forecast, totally unique to you, both these charts, and will give you searing insights. Please see the link below for more. However, if you don't know your time of birth, my solar package based on the Sun can still give you a considerable extra understanding that goes beyond this zodiac broadcast. So Pisces, as you come into this month, the Sun and Mercury are so perfectly aligned. In traditional astrology, it's called a cazimi, but it's in house 5. So on day 1, you have a marvellous opportunity to showcase your talents. And because your ruler Jupiter is in your 3rd house of everyday communication, linking into the Sun and Mercury in the first 5 days of this month, the chances are you can really sparkle and demonstrate to people all your array of talents and creativity. It's also true to say that Venus and Mars are pretty close together, not in a conjunction, through the first 10 days of this month. And when it comes to your professional situation, Venus can see you obliging and helpful to others, nothing new there, but Mars is fortifying your physical vitality, so that's really sweet too. However, on the 3rd, we do have a full moon. It's a full moon which is emphasizing your 11th house, your connection to others, but the moon in Capricorn is at the weakest part of its journey. It's in detriment. And this is going to be a really interesting part of your situation. Your connection to others is going to be tested this month, I feel. And this is the first test, but Mercury, still close to the Sun, is on the other side of the heavens, and it's saying to you essentially that the 5th house is where you want to manifest what's individually important to you. The 11th house is the collective, how you need to knit into others, but also think about your future hopes, and it can be your social circle. So there may be a little bit of a challenge, to be honest, around your time management. I think a lot of people may want a piece of you over the following 2 weeks, which is very gratifying, but not if you become overwhelmed. However, on the 10th, Mars moves into your opposite sign. Now, Mars in the 7th house does come with something of a warning notice, because when people have this in their natal charts, they can be very assertive about their boundaries, but also about their relationships. But it makes it difficult sometimes to see another person's viewpoint. But I like Mars in the 7th house because if you're someone who does tend to find it a little bit harder to assert yourself, Mars will give you more oomph. Also, if you're wanting a relationship, Mars will give you more encouragement to go for it. So it's not all bad, but it can be a little fierce. However, Mercury replaces Mars the next day on the 11th by moving into the sign of Leo. Now, Mercury in Leo gives an ability to articulate ideas with a degree of self-assurance, because Leo has that kind of vibe. But from the 12th to the 20th, there's actually a sparkling alliance between the Sun and Uranus. Uranus in house 3 may have frazzled your nerves a little bit over the last few years, Pisces, and also overstimulated your adrenal system, but it won't have made life dull. The chances are that you've been really very creative in your thinking, but also perhaps there's been lots of changes. Sometimes even in very short spaces of time, you may see things in a very different way. But the angle between Uranus, which is very much about higher truths, and the Sun is excellent, because if you do want to demonstrate to people your talents, you really can have a way of articulating your ideas which is very attractive to others, and that becomes exact on the 14th at the heart of this month. Now the 17th is a truly important day. The true North Node, which has been going through your sector of everyday communication, your immediate environment, your connection to siblings and neighbours, but also anything influencing technology over the last 18 months, inverses into the sign of Aries, which is house 2 for you. That's your core values, but it's also to do with your self-worth. The node is our collective direction of travel. This is not the same as your own personal North Node in your natal chart. This is the collective North Node for all Pisces people, and it's asking you over the next 18 months to think very carefully about what defines the basis of your life. You know, what is your personal sense of identity based upon, because that's very Aries. The second house can be to do with everyday money, very Tauran. But also on the 17th, we have a new moon. Now this is a new moon that can give you a real opportunity to show the warmth and the demonstrative side of your nature, which can really gush over into the following 4 weeks. And it does forge a beautiful link with Neptune, your co-regent in your sign. So if there is someone that you're really, really taken with, that's a very enabling influence. The problem is the Sun is in an opposition to Pluto, which becomes exact on the 22nd. People who have this in their natal charts can be very strong-willed people. You may have it in your natal chart. And for a Pisces, in a way, having that opposition is a good thing, because it gives you the ability to defend your interests in quite a robust manner. Pluto's about power, but it's also about hidden power. The Sun is in your 5th house, very much about your need to be an individual. So this is your Leo part of the year. Whereas Pluto's in your Aquarius, even though it's in Capricorn now, Aquarius stage, which is very much about how you link to others. So if there's an imbalance between you being an individual but also linking to others, it's going to be shown over the following 6 days. And for example, there may be some kind of group that you're involved in, or you may work in a team in your employment situation. And if someone feels that you're trying to seek too much recognition and not being mindful of the other people who support you, that could cause some pushback. Equally, you may experience somebody who wants to be a prima donna, and the team player in you really finds that hard to swallow. So it could be you that's pushing back against someone's oppressive or overbearing behaviour, but you just need to be aware of your own attitudes, like we all do all of the time. We have to self-monitor. But also concurrent to that aspect, we do have from the 15th through to the 24th, Saturn in your sign, which has been limiting your energy at times, particularly if you're born early in Pisces, and making you think about the things that are superfluous in your life. So it's asking you to strip down your life and make it simpler. This is not the same as a Saturn return, but it's similar, particularly if it is applying to your sun, exactly. But you may have other planets, if you're born later in Pisces, that are being affected by Saturn, or other planets elsewhere around your overall chart. So there is a sense that Saturn's asking you to use what energy you do have in a very efficient way and not spread yourself too thinly. But Mars on the 7th house wants you to assert your boundary, but just when you want to do so, you may feel that you're almost like that you don't have the strength in your legs to push over the line something that's important to you. So I would be careful with these two very big oppositions not to take on any kind of battle which is not really worthy of a true amount of time, energy and emotion. So in other words, pick your moments, because there could be some politics that are washing around in week 3, but there can also be some celestial magic with the Sun's alliance to Neptune. And then on the 23rd, the Sun moves into its home zone of Leo, which for you can do your physical health the world of good. The next 6 weeks could see you thinking a bit more about, some of the naughty stuff, too many calorific goodies, the snacks, the nibbles, the carbs, the lack of physical exercise, perhaps a little bit of a lack of discipline here and there, and the Sun's asking you to get your game together. But also on the same day, Venus goes into a retrograde. If you work in an environment where, and I feel that Pisces people tend to be very obliging and sometimes very sacrificing, but if there's a situation where you've been so good that other people are almost, you don't exist because you're invisible, because they just assume that you're always going to be there to provide support, I feel that you need to just be aware of not being too much of a good egg. Sorry if you're a vegan. Don't be such a good sport to the nth degree that you actually lose your identity. That goes on for 44 days, that retrograde. Very important also in a romantic context, that if you're the one who's always taking care of the domestic sphere, that again, you remind your partner with Mars's help that, look, this needs to be give and take. So I think Pisces people can be very, very giving, but I feel that opposition between Mars and Saturn could espouse in you a much more robust and colder side of your nature. And I do feel there is that polarity with Pisces people. Once you're cross, you can be very cross, but not necessarily in a way that you show. Obviously, sometimes you just cold out from situations, and there could be a bit of that in week 3. However, by the end of the month, the 28th, Mercury moves into your opposite sign. Now, Mercury rules the sign of Virgo, and if there have been some tangles around any kind of relationship, family, friend, neighbour, someone you're involved with, Mercury moving into the 7th house can take away some of the brittleness that Mercury in the 6th house can have. Ironically, Mercury in Virgo can still be a bit brittle because it's very much taken with the detail of situations. That's what Mercury in Virgo is all about. But it can also help you to be discriminating and be a bit more detached. Mercury in the 7th house is more Libran-like, but the energy of Virgo helps you to see the little details, but again, I think helps you to see the things that it's not worth sweating. So that's really where we are. 2 massive oppositions that are going to be affecting absolutely everyone in week 3. Obviously, the opposition of the full moon on the 3rd, with the moon in its weakest location, but the sun comes through into its strongest location on the 23rd. And the true North Node is asking you over the next year and a half to think an awful lot about the foundations in your life, your self-worth and your core values, and your personal identity may need strengthening up within that. Mars gives you opportunities around your relationship sector, supported by Mercury at the end of the month, but it's important to understand the available energy that you have with Saturn's help and confidence, really, because Saturn in the first house can impact on our sense of individual drive. So don't try to force something that you don't have the wherewithal to see through. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Pisces. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, comment, or subscribe.